What's up, Green Bay New York Giants fans? This is Tim's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC in partnership with Believe and the mighty FanDuel. We want to talk about the game last night a little bit. We want to talk about what's going to happen, go up against the vaunted Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. A lot to talk about today. We want to talk about the comments that Shane Bowen made. We want to talk about the comments that Abdul Carter made on Twitter. Stupid as it stupid does sometimes. Sometimes professional athletes just need to get the fuck off Twitter. Sitting there, Packers hat and Giants jersey. That's right, baby. Pack attack. I am partial owner of the Green Bay Packers. I have 2 shares of stock for the Green Bay Packers. Been a Packer fan for years. The whole family's been a Packer fan. My father was a big Vince Lombardi fan. So, so I had the Giants and the Packers growing up. Lombardi, so magic still lingers in the name. But Abdul Carter, get the fuck off Twitter. Stop sitting there and telling people that defensive ends are like quarterbacks, and we should be respected and paid the same way. Oh, dear Lord. This is a guy that's played 1 game, and his snap count went down in the second half of that game because the team ran for 220 yards, and he was one of the reasons why that the Washington team, who probably should have won that game by 35, really just kind of took advantage of the Giants defense. And I love it because it's one of these things that if you take a look at it, what impact did he make? Yes, he blocked the punt. Yeah, I get that, but that's not being an edge rusher. I get that. He also, I watched time and time again, off tackle left, off tackle right, off tackle left, off tackle right. I watched it over and over again. And then for people to sit there and go, well, it just shows how bad of a team the Washington Commanders really are, because they lost last night. Well, we couldn't score more than 6 points against them. What does it say about us? What does it say about the Giants? What about it say about the talent on the Giant team? Does anyone discuss or want to talk about that? No, we don't want to talk about that. We want to lay blame and have reasons and rationales why we lost, but we don't want to actually look at the facts of why we lost. We lost because we couldn't stop the run. Thank God that Jaden Daniels had an off night or off day the day we played him, or we might have lost by 28. This was the only 21-6 game that I've ever seen that was so never in doubt ever for the Washington Commanders. So if the Commanders are so bad, we must be 10 times worse. And we have to play the Packers. The Packers right now have a championship team. You put in Micah Parsons, you put in the people that they have in that organization. They are a championship team. And stop with the stupid comparisons to Parsons and Abdul Carter. Parsons is literally a freak of nature. He can literally, he's a speed rusher. He's a power rusher. He is a guy that literally can move the line. He is a guy that can impact the game on both levels and can play the run and can play the pass. He is a guy that is if you take a look at the way he's built, he's built like a Mack truck. And people are trying to compare Abdul Carter. You look at Abdul Carter and compare him to Micah Parsons. There's no comparison. Micah Parsons is on a different level. He can beat you with the speed rush. He can beat you with the bull rush. He can drop into coverage, and he can play the run. That's not what we have yet in Abdul Carter. And Shane Bowen coming out and saying, we're going to have to consider using him as a weak side linebacker. If I'm the Cowboys and I have the running game that I have with Dallas, which is probably extremely pedestrian, which is right now extremely pedestrian and probably should be ranked in the bottom half of the league, I'm running right at Carter. Balls to the wall, dropping the tight, because we've seen what a tight end can do to him. You saw what the tight end can do to him. A third string backup Home Depot apron wearing tight end. What he did to the third overall pick. Blackbird is right. He is a generational talent. Abdul Carter can't play the run and he can't cover. So the reason and rationale and the people being upset at Giant fans that his snap count went down in the second half, there's a reason and rationale. Even being down a linebacker, there's a reason and rationale for that. Because he doesn't, and I always use a caveat, yet. He doesn't do things yet that has an ability to stop the run or be in pass coverage. He uses speed. Speed can be negated by raw strength and just kind of pushing you to the outside. We watched that with Kayvon Thibodeau for 3 seasons. So for them to sit there and sit there and complain that he's not getting the snap count, that he should get this, he should get this. I've said this before. Abdul Carter should play like Jerry Oslowski, former NFL offensive lineman, 10 years with the Buffalo Bills, was on the show like 4 months ago. And he even said, if I was the Giants or anyone else, and he's a Penn State fan, he's like, I would play maybe Parsons 38% of the snaps because all he can do is really rush the passer. And this is a guy that is a former offensive lineman and a Penn State fan. Said this, go back and watch the show. He even asked me, would you put him in at linebacker? I said, no. No, I wouldn't. But that's all right. Because I said this before, I was not a fan of taking him at 3. I understand why the Giants did it. But your generational talented player at 3 should not only play 38% of the snaps. He should play like 80% of the time. But the problem is, if you do that, you're going to expose Abdul Carter, the things that he's never seen, and you're going to expose him in reference to the fact that the league is going to understand how the league already understands how to exploit him. Yes, I've said this before. He can get 10 and a half, 12 tackles. 10 and a half, 12 sacks this year. 100%. 100% he could do that. But he will also be exploited in the passing game and the running game. Big Dan the Man said, Dan the Man, they will win it plus 750 on FanDuel. FanDuel right now, of course, the mighty sponsor and mighty partner, the mighty FanDuel. I believe right now the Giants are 5.5 point underdogs. FanDuel, FanDuel.com, number 1 sportsbook in all of America, all of the land. Do everything. Sports betting, casino games, slot machines, fantasy. They even got their own TV, FanDuel TV. Go to FanDuel right now. Place that first bet. Why not? It's always fun to do stuff like that. Would I take the Giants and the 5.5 points? Bet, you know what? Also, if you do right now for new customers, bet at $5, get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Would I take the 5.5 points? Do I go on FanDuel TV and decide and look? No, I'm not going to look yet, because you want to know why? That's for Sunday's show. You took the 6.5 point spread last week. Yeah, I was wrong on that. I had my fan hat on. Someone, Blackbird, I had my fan hat on. Someone even said to me, Tim, I think it was like 4 days before the stream or 5 days before the stream on Sunday, they were like, you said the Giants were going to get smoked. You're like, you said they were going to get smoked, and then all of a sudden you took them and the points. I said, yeah. I had a perfect parlay last week until the Giants 6.5 point spread. All right, geez, Blackbird, make me feel even worse. But and I understand that. I understand a segment of Giant fans that are screaming for Abdul Carter to play, screaming for Jaxson Dart to play. I understand it, but they're not football fans. They're Giant fans. And I've always and there's a lot of content creators that fall into that aspect as well. They're not football content creators, they're Giant content creators. And a lot of times you could be a Giant content creator and not know fucking anything about football. I've seen some videos. And see, I heard a podcast by one female podcaster. I was like, this has nothing to do with football. So has nothing to do with Giant football whatsoever. It has nothing to do with football in general. And you want him to play because you drafted him. Well, here's the problem. Sometimes you draft people, even in 3rd overall pick, they don't work out. pass rushers are easier to get into the system and work out than any other players, because of the fact that they could use their speed, they can use their intuitive nature to go after the quarterback. But the problem is this, and I was thinking about it because James Williams brought it up. He reminds me, what's his name? Javion Curse, the freak over at the Titans. The guy came in with just basically speed moves. He came in as a speed rusher, and then he had 3 good seasons of 14.5 sacks, 11.5 sacks, and 10 sacks. And then his entire career just kind of fell off the planet, where then in the next 9 years, the most sacks he had was 9.5. Yes, there were some injuries involved, but this is also a guy that was supposed to be this singularly destructive force after that rookie season. Well, the problem is the league kind of found out real quick that you took this guy 16th overall, and all he was is a speed rusher. He's not like a Jason Taylor, who was a speed rusher, but also developed. So you have to remember that. You have to remember from a football analogy sometimes that sometimes your draft choices don't work out. I'm not saying Abdul Carter is not going to work out, but I am saying he needs to increase his repertoire, not just in his reference to his moves rushing the passer, but doing other things. They're like, well, he almost blocked that kick. Well, yeah, that's great. That's why you know why you put him on the edge? Because he's got speed. That's why you put him on the edge. That's why you have him do those certain things. But can he run? Can he move laterally? Does he have the ability to diagnose plays in the running game from the middle of the field? Does he get lost in the sauce? Once he finds his way to the ball, can he make the stop? Going back of his body of work at Penn State, you would say, okay, a guy that has a 25.9% missed tackle percentage, his second season as a starter, and has inability at times to make a tackle in space or on the open field, there's a problem there. And speed, like I said, speed is what he is going to rely on. I've said this before. He reminds me of Bryce Huff. He reminds me of a guy that can rush the passer and could do but really can't do other things. I'm going to keep using the caveat yet.
I feel the need for speed.
And then there was the Twitter post I saw.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
When I had to hear that the New York Giants only had their best pass rushers on the field 8% of the time. When you're getting gashed in the run game for 220 yards on 32 carries, and you are getting gashed in the air, there's a problem there. So maybe the problem is the fact that you have all these speed guys on the field at the same time.
You gotta get speed, demon speed. Speed's what we need. We need greasy, fast speed.
We got plenty of speed. Al Davis was the biggest proponent of speed ever in NFL history. He took guys just because they could run a 4.3. Not that they were athletically talented and could do other things, but he believed in speed, going back to his days with Darryl LaMonica, with Alabama. But the problem is speed is only one asset of the game. It's not everything. And like I said, I think Abdul Carter can get 10.5, 12 sacks this year. But I also think he's going to have like 38 tackles. So if you take a guy this early in the draft, he's got to do a lot more. Dan the Man says, I always had a soft spot to Packers because my best friend from elementary school was a fan. Then later out figuring out all Lombardi history, it grew even more. Manuel says, well, we're really bad because I watched the Packers make the Commanders defense look like a JV operation. Here's the thing though with the Packers. The Packers are deep. The Packers have depth almost everywhere. And their biggest issue last year was generating they could generate a pass rush. They had a good pass rush win percentage, if we're going to use Pro Football Jokers. But their biggest issue last year was having a consistent passing, rushing attack, going after the quarterback. And now they have that with Parsons. They got wide receivers out the wazoo. They got linebackers out the wazoo. Just another. Omega Supreme says the media keeps pushing a narrative to put Jaxson Dart in behind this horrific offensive line. No. You can't put him in, and do not put him in versus Dallas. Do not put him in against the Steve Spagnuolo defense at home Sunday Night Football against Kansas City. If you want to try to put him in against the Saints, maybe. I wouldn't put him in against the Chargers, and I wouldn't put him in against the Eagles. If you want to build packages for him, I can understand that. If you want to maybe in week 3 I don't believe in breaking up the consistency. Russell Wilson is a rhythm passer. I don't feel like you should be breaking up the consistency of a rhythm passer by breaking his rhythm by taking him out for plays. You got to ride. You brought Russell Wilson in, you got to ride with him for at least 3-4 weeks before you end the Russell Wilson experiment. But if you want to put in a play here or two for Jaxson Dart, I don't have a problem with that. But you better pray to God it doesn't conclude with an interception or a fumble, because that'll just be a team killer. Jay Ferris says, "Let's become Packer fans, and let's all become a Packer channel and become Packer fans." Well, yeah, that sounds good. Blackbird says 3 weeks, 3 straight first week losses, no touchdowns. We scored the exact same amount of points week 1 this year that we did last year. That's the problem. What did you really do to him? And I said this all during training camp. I said this before the draft. I said this during the draft. What did you really do to improve this offense? You went out and got Cam Scatterbo, and Cam Scatterbo winning the best power run of the week for whatever NFL Network, whatever the fuck that was a joke. You ran the ball twice for -2 yards. The big pass play where you stood people up allegedly, they didn't go anywhere. You ran into them. They didn't go backwards. You didn't bowl them. Swift had the play in the Bears game where he literally threw the guy to the side and ran for 20 yards. Cam hit a wall, didn't go anywhere. Hit another wall, didn't go anywhere, and then got slammed down from behind. Blackbird says, "Good morning, Tim. What's going on?" Mr. Dan says, "I think Parsons was unleashed another level just in the second game as a Packer. Like, my goodness. He's on a different level. Abdul Carter and Micah Parsons are not on the same level. Not even close. Not a slight against Abdul Carter. They're not. Parsons is a singular destructive force that can rush you with speed. He can rush you with power. And he can come out when needed, and they don't do it a lot, and I think they should, but I understand. When you have someone that can go after the quarterback like he does, I'm not going to play him against the run. I'm going to limit his snaps, but he is a guy that'll still get you 60 to 80 tackles, but also give you 13 sacks. And get you 20 tackles for a loss and 30 quarterback hits. Because he can get to the quarterback multitudes of ways. Carter right now is just a speed guy. And if I'm a speed guy and he's on the edge, and he doesn't cut it back inside, I'm going to do what they do to Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm going to push him wide. Take him out of the play. Make him use his speed to get back into the center of the play. Parsons has established Carter is not. Carter needs to worry about proving himself as a professional, so he needs to pipe down until he's proven it. Well, we had Kayvon Thibodeau said he was getting 16 sacks his rookie season. I'm going to go sack a game. Why not?
And, they say I'm a genius, but how can you really score 5 and 7?
Yeah, okay. And I love it how content creators now are figuring out that the first 2 Giant drafts suck. We've been saying that for how long now? We've been saying this for, I don't know how long, but now they're just figuring out that Joe Shane can't draft. No, he can't. I'm sorry. And honestly, if you take a look at his next draft class, okay, Darius should not be a starting middle linebacker or weak side linebacker. Not even close. Theo Johnson is a bust. I don't know what Drew Phillips is yet. All these people that think Drew Phillips is this player, I don't know what he is yet. I don't know. Again, he had 4 tackles, 3 solo tackles Drew Phillips did, which is fine, which is good. But he also had, and people want to talk about Drew Phillips being this singular destructive force. Jaden Daniels was 3 for 4 for 32 yards at 10.7 yards. And he averaged 8 yards a target downfield, 24 yards in the air. That's what Drew Phillips did. He gave up 75% of his passes. And we're anointing him that he's this great slot corner. Do I have to remind people last year he was 36 for 48 for 75-yard completion percentage. Completion percentage is 75% for 335 yards at almost 10 yards a completion and 7 yards a target down the field and 127 yards in the air for a total of 208 yards. Why am I the only one that sees these things? Well, because he makes the tackle. Yeah, we had a guy called Aaron Robinson did the same thing. Gave up passes, gave up completions, but he made the tackle. The idea of a corner, a slot corner, a nickelback, anyone else, is to stop people from catching the ball. I know. It's crazy. I know. But that's what we're supposed to do. I have Dak Prescott as my quarterback in fantasy. I would start him. Mr. Albert says, hey, Tim, the reason why fans are hyping him up is because Micah opened his mouth and said that Abdul was better than he was. So Abdul was just Tavon Walker with Parsons' hype machine. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying Parsons. I said it before, and I will say it again, and I will continue to say it till the heavens open up. Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter both have bust written all over them. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying if you look at their body of work, you look at their body type, you look at their skill set, they are one-dimensional. They at times are one-dimensional players, which usually means you have bust written all over you, especially if you're taking that high. Just song. Big Greg says, Big T, what's up? Saw Squattabow. He looks like he was in a fight after the Skins game. Everyone's just, it's a scammable. You're right. He literally ran into a guy. He didn't go forward, ran into another guy, didn't go forward, and then a guy fell on him, and then he lost 2 yards in the red zone. He tried to boom someone in the red zone, and it was a corner and didn't go anywhere. Omega says, saw the Scatterboo in the interview. He's bruised up like he was in a fight after the first Washington game. Blackbird, let's see. I'm changing my avatar to Colts hat, Packer jersey in protest. I would do that. Let's see here. BP says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, BP. What's up? Big James. We all have to acknowledge James. Deb said, hey, Tim, who was your pick at number 3? Very simple, my pick at number 3. I trade out at 3. I've said this a million times before, Deb. I trade out and I get Tyler Warren. I could still come back up and jump up and grab Jaxson Dart. I trade out, get additional assets, use those assets to get some offensive line help. And I take a Tyler Warren because we don't have a tight end. And people that think Daniel Bellinger is going to come in here and make a difference are probably the same people that thought Kyle Rudolph was going to be a difference maker. And I get a tight end that can open up the middle of the field, who can stretch a defense, which we watched him do all preseason in that first game against Miami, and can catch the ball, which in turn will bring the over-the-top safety help off neighbors, so no double teams every time, and bring it over to the middle of the field, which in turn also helps open up my run game. But instead, we took a guy at 3 who's the exact same guy we traded for and took at 5 3 years ago. Makes a lot of sense. Greg, everyone's saluting Big Greg. Let's see. Off Broadway, say, am I late? Hey, Tim. Hey, Chief. No, off Broadway, you're always on time. Then the man is booing something. Curse was nasty. He was nasty for 3 years. He was nasty for 3 years. That's 7 sacks a season. That's a good career. That's a fine career. But he was taken in the 16th overall in the first round. And outside of his first 3 seasons, he only had the last 9 or whatever it was. He only had 9.5 sacks. He played more than 10 years. I believe Curse played more than 10 years. Mr. Taz, put Jameis on the field. We demand the chaos from New Jersey. I agree. Dev also says Carter is yet another player with potential that the Giants will not use properly. This coaching staff sucks. The problem is, Deb, it's not always the coaching staff. It's the evaluation of talent. And the evaluation of talent is what has been to the detriment of the Giants going back to the end of the Jerry Reese tenure. And then it's the overinflation of talent. And the problem is this: you can't keep drafting guys and you can't keep trading for guys and bringing in free agents that don't fit your system and then try to make them fit the system. It just doesn't work. Did you see the difference between Burns and Carter on their mic Did you see the size difference when Burns kicked Carter off the mic in preseason? Even Burns is an undersized defensive end. That's what Parsons. I mean, that's what Carter is, though. He's still 6 something, 250 pounds, but he doesn't look like he has any mass to him. You looked at Parsons last night wearing that number 1. I was like, dear Lord, when did the Lords of Cobalt? When did Zeus come down and create a linebacker? I don't remember him looking like that in Dallas. Mr. Taz says speed doesn't do much if it hits on an immovable wall and lacks strength to go with speed. That's the problem. He learned that by running into a third-string tight end who stood him up. People also forget in that Jet game, he got pancaked on 2 other occasions. He is not going to bully anyone. He needs to use his speed, which is fine. That there's no problem with that. That's what he has to do. David says, watched Commanders yesterday. They are not good. And since they dominated the Giants, what does that say about us? Says we suck. Says we suck wholeheartedly. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. We're a 5-win team. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to fire everyone after this 5-win season. Jay says, I want to see 2 drives by the offensive line Sunday before I throw dirt on the grave. We need to see more than that. Greg says, like I said, Russ has a glimmer of anything left in the tank. He'd be on the Steelers. Oh, I agree with that. I said that. I've been saying that before. What does that say about Russell Wilson that after his 400-yard game against the worst defense last year in the Bengals, that they didn't let him throw deep or audible afterwards? That kind of told you there was nothing left in the tank with Russ. The front office is drafted wrong for 5 years, and the fans have over-evaluated same talent for the same area for 5 years. I have to agree. You go back. This is what people don't understand. 2021. Rodarius Williams, gone. Gary Brightwell, gone. Emerson Smith, gone. Aaron Robinson, gone. Aziz Ojulari, gone. Kadarius Toney, gone. Our entire 2021 draft is gone. Look at 2020. Tay Crowder, gone. Chris Williamson, gone. TJ Brunson, gone. Carter Coughlin is still on the team, I think. I don't know where. Is Carter Coughlin even still on this team? I don't even know. Cam Brown, gone. Shane Lemieux, gone. Darnay Holmes, gone. Matt from Connecticut, gone. Xavier McKinney, gone. Andrew Thomas, gone. Take a look at his 2022 draft. Darren Beavers, gone. McKeithen, gone. DJ Davidson will be gone. Mike McFadden, injured. Dane Belton's garbage. Daniel Bellinger, garbage. Cordell Flock, garbage. Joshua Zuda, garbage. You go back, and then you go back to the 2019 draft. Chris Slayton, gone. Corey Ballentine, gone. Darius Slayton still here. Ryan Conley, gone. Julian Love, gone. O'Shane Zimenez, gone. DeAndre Baker, gone. All you have left is Dexter Lawrence. So going back to 2019 to 2021, you have, you have 1, 2, 3 guys. From 19 to 21, you have 3 guys on that are still on this roster. If you want to go back to 2018, RJ McIntosh, gone. Kyle Letta, gone. BJ Hill, gone. Lorenzo Carter, gone. Will Hernandez, gone. Saquon Barkley, gone. There's a fundamental flaw with the talent evaluation of this New York Giants team. Joe Shane makes Gettleman look like a draft. He does make him look like a draft genius. Mr. Carter says Mr. Taz says Carter really showed exactly why LT was right to deny him his number. I agree. How dare you? 2022-2023 rounds are still developing. Nice Packer jersey. A real team. Pack attack, baby. Like I said, I am an owner of the Packers. I have Packer stock. I went, what was his name? Mark Murphy, I think was the GM when I went to their stockholder meeting. Wanda Robinson always gets pulled down from behind. Yes, we've been saying that since Kentucky. And I love it now because I think it was Brian Baldinger or whatever his name was. And Zacatech sent it to me. He goes, Brian's stealing your shit. He's talking about Wanda Robinson's catch radius. It's like, you've been talking about that since the day we drafted him. He doesn't have a catch radius. Why would you put a guy 30 yards downfield where you have to hit the head of a pin? Why would you do that as an offensive coordinator? Why? What's the thought process? Tony Mandridge. Jamarcus Russell didn't have enough time to develop. Dan the Man says we only had top 10 rushing offense since 2022, since 2010, one top 10 rushing defense since 2016, 10, 16, and surprisingly, the 11th in 2020 really makes sense in those numbers. You're right. Evan says this regime has worn out their welcome. They have made the same mistakes by not putting Smith on the roster and having Wanda return kicks. And then we go out and get the kick returner from the Jets that they just released. Thank God we got the Knicks. Thank God. I mean, the Knicks, I have to thank God for the Knicks, because the Knicks to me have put together, you added Malcolm Brogdon. He is going to, we re-signed Landry Shamadama-Ding-Dong, and Brogdon is supposed to compete with Shamadama-Ding-Dong for the 12th spot or a spot in the rotation. Malcolm Brogdon to me is a guy that you're not going to have to rely on him to play 29 minutes a night. You are. What the hell is that? There's a commercial coming on here. You're not going to have to rely on him to play 25 minutes a night. Yeah, he's a guy that, has had some injury issues, but he's also a guy that I'm not going to need to pay. I need him to play 10, 15 minutes a night. And he offers so many different nuances for the Knicks. Wasn't Shane claimed to fame being a draft connoisseur? Yeah, he was. Hey, let's get Josh Allen. Okay. Not hard when you draft Josh Allen. Scatterboo shakes his head a lot after his hits. Pay attention to that. Sometimes you got to clear the cobwebs out. Going back to high school, I have 11 known concussions. And to this day, I don't really think they've ever affected me. To this day, I don't think they've ever really affected me. To this day, I don't think they have ever really affected me. To this day, I don't think they ever really. Okay. What else we got going on? And Mr. Alvarez says, I've been saying Shane can draft since the second night of 2022. I knew I saw a bad GM watching him draft Azuda and McKeith and two linemen from North Carolina, one of the worst offensive lines in college that year. Yeah, we talked about that during the draft. David says Shane can draft. You can't get the decent free agents at a good price. Well, what do you mean? We were only $9 million over the cap this year. We only had to restructure Andrew Thomas's deal to get underneath the cap before 8/20 on that Thursday night. No Kyle Rudolph. Oh my God, he was 3 years past a good season once we brought him in. I love that I said that. I said, watch the decline of Kyle Rudolph going back 3 seasons. Everyone told me I knew nothing. Again, everyone told me I knew nothing about football. Let's see. You know what the problem is? I could see a washed up player. Because I am one. Let's see. Jay Ferris says the problem is any young players who show a glimpse of anything gets hyped to the masses by the Giants. It's all red herring. We'll see. Deb. There are walk-on players. There ever been a walk-on for head coach? Would you do that, Tim? No, I could never be a head coach. I could never be a head coach anywhere. I don't have the foresight. I don't have the football acclimate in regards to the X's and O's knowledge. So no, that would never happen, especially not for me. Kyle Rudolph, Jonathan Stewart, Oh my God, we don't want to talk about Jonathan Stewart. We almost had Jonathan Stewart on a couple of weeks back. Chilling at work. Says off Broadway. Mr. Taz says the Giants under Shane regime have essentially become the NFC version of the Cleveland Browns. Yep. Giants fans always overvalue and overhype drafted players before they hit the field. Yeah, we do that a lot. I think all teams and organizations do that. I don't think that's anything special to Giant fans. I don't think there's anything like that we're the only ones that do it. The only problem is, excuse me, I got allergies. We're the only ones that consistently do it and usually are consistently wrong. I tried to tell my coworkers Abdul Carter didn't fit the Giants and the defensive line couldn't stop the run. I love it now that Dexter Lawrence has to play his way back into shape. Wasn't he in training camp all year? Wasn't he in training camp? The entire training camp. So now he's got to play his way back into shape. He's supposed to be my stalwart defensive player. He's supposed to be my Aaron Donald. I never heard Aaron Donald say, I got to play my way back into shape. 6 years, couldn't fix one position group. Well, he fixed the quarterback. TJ says this O-line can't block stunts because they practice against the only defense that doesn't run stunts. My question all through, I think I went to every open practice. I even went to the 2 jet practices. I even went to Florham Park. I think I went to all but 2. And I kept telling people and asking people, and I told people and asked people on this channel, are the Giants backs this good at getting to the edge, or is it that just we're this bad at setting the edge? Because I saw the run game Sunday and it looked nothing like what it looked like in training camp. So I'm still wondering that. Let's see off Broadway. See Chris Merritt, Tim McDonald being the personnel of the constant problems as they are. They need to resign, but they're not going to fire. They're not going to fire him. That's the problem. They haven't fired him yet. The Blackbird says Commanders game. He pulled from down from behind. He was. We've been saying this. We have been saying this. I don't know how long. What do we see here? Let's see here. Jay Ferris. Wandell's catchphrase is basically dimensions of a bathroom doorknob. He literally, I kept telling people, and I keep telling people over and over again about his catch radius. This is why not everyone, but the prototypical wide receiver, in my mind, should be between 6 feet and 6'3". You could be slight of build, but you need to have longer arms. You need to have a different type of body mass that allows your core, especially downhill receivers that are going, unless you're something very special like Malik Neighbors, but you have to have certain size to be noticed downfield and have a certain size. And Malik Neighbors is still 6 feet and 200 and something pounds, but you have to have this. You have to create a large catch window. I always talk about catch radius, and I always talk about a catch window. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I think of bathroom door, I'm thinking of bathroom window. So to me, if I'm a quarterback, and this is why they practice throwing the ball into the nets when they're throwing it into the pockets, because they're throwing it into a window almost. So you have to have an ability to be downfield enough to have my quarterback see my catch window, we'll call it, and put the ball through the window. Wandell doesn't have that. Papa Smurf doesn't have that. Mr. Albert says some of the names listed above because the Giants couldn't pay them and the Giants were arrogant enough to let them walk. Cap manager needs to be fired. Unfortunately, I'm not a Knicks fan. Well, come on. Roy says, what is Ray says? Goodbye, Tim. I'll check in with you in a decade. We might be good then. No, Ray, we're going to talk about the Packers later. Say, Big Chris, smash that like button. Driving to Manhattan for Reveille. Listen back later. You better, baby. What's going on, Chris? How you doing, my brother? James says, as president of the White Vic fan club, please stop saying Joe Shane drafted out. It was Bean. Yeah, I don't understand. I still think they locked Joe Shane in the bathroom during that draft. I think that's what they did. Evan says, oh, that's no, we're not going to read that one because it's not to me. You're right. I remember when they drafted Burn. Let's see, Manny Reese. Do we move Andrew Tark, move AT and or Dexter for some pieces? It's funny you bring that up. Make sure you hit the like button, guys. It's funny that you bring that up, Emmanuel. I did a whole video during the offseason. You might remember it, saying that it was time to trade Dexter Lawrence. I'm not moving on Andrew Thomas yet, but if you figure by the time we're good, how old is Dexter Lawrence going to be? And I said it before, get something now because we never get anything. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 in November. November 12th, he'll be 28. Move on from him now. Get some assets. Get some first round picks. Because what is he going to be 30? 30 something when we might be good again? And he's going to be on the tail end of his career? And Dexter Lawrence isn't a guy right now that if you look at, he people want to compare him to Aaron Donald, but the guy's been in the league since 19. He's only got 30 sacks. If you take a look at the percentage of plays he plays, 63, 60, 69, 82, 67, 70, 70. So he's not like a guy that plays more than 65 to 70% of the snaps. Aaron Donald played a lot more than that. So, yeah, I would. Jay Ferris says, yeah, let's trade winning lottery tickets for scratchers. We can't draft. Well, that's a good point, too. That's a good point, though. I mean, if you think about it from that regards as well, Jay, you're actually kind of right. I remember when we had all those picks, Joe Schoen's first year. That was that was going to be the building block draft for the Giants. Ooh, my hand motion thing is on. The camera. All right, I can't move my hands. Stop moving my hands. I gotta stop moving my hands. I got the hand motion thing on. I don't know how to turn that off. We're technologically sound here. But you're right. You can't. Why gather assets if you can't draft? The players from the Jets stink. A mid-punt returner who only claim to fame was the Buffalo game, and he had 10 fumbles over the last 2 seasons, mind you, at wide receiver number 4 on the depth chart. Let's see here. Giants need an old-school coach like Ditka or Parcells to straighten them out. There's a guy. His name's John Gruden. But New York couldn't handle John Gruden. John Gruden would be fun for unless he's changed from when I remember him. I remember during the 7-9 and 6-10 season. He was not a lot of fun in that 6-10 season. He is not good unless he's mellowed, and I doubt it. He would not fit well in New York. But I would think it would be that's kind of the person you need. You needed a Brian Flores. You need if you wanted to go with a coach that, like I said, that you want to give a shot. I've said it before, I would have gave Eric Bieniemy a shot a long time ago. But I mean, I think Gruden would be a great fit, but I don't think New York New York would be able to handle John Gruden. Prime Odell was an exception. Yeah, you can be an exception to the rule. That's why I said you can be if you're an exceptional player. Yeah, that rule doesn't apply to you. But when you're a 5'2" wide receiver with a helmet bigger than your shoulder pads, you have a very small catch ratio. We need an experienced head coach. I do agree with that. Evan, exactly. And when we drafted Flott, I was like, who? I looked up his scouting report. I said he was known for falling to Paul Biggs and was meh. And the open field, Joe Schoen sucks. How's Corey Black doing? How's Corey Black? I wouldn't do Mike McCarthy, but I would do Gruden. I would do Gruden because I would call up Gruden and see if I couldn't get a job. I doubt he remembers me, but I would still call him up and ask. It was over 20 years ago. Why Hyatt's still on this team, Big Tim? Because he was drafted by Joe Schoen, and Joe Schoen has a lot of guys on this team that shouldn't be on this team, but in my mind, they're on this team because they're Joe Schoen draft choices. And if you keep cutting guys over and over again, I mean, think about it. If you get rid of Jalen Hyatt, then your 2023 class is going to be an entire bust. Owens is gone. Riley shows nothing. Tay Hawkins is gone. Eric Gray should be gone. JMS should be gone. And Banks has just regressed so much. I don't know what the hell's going on with Banks. And then you get rid of Jalen Hyatt. Then you have nobody left for your 2023 class. I didn't see Hyatt he wasn't on the field yesterday. He didn't have a single snap. We traded Leo because our windows didn't line up and we are still bad.
King of the almost sack.
Jay Ferris, I'm going to give you the actual reason why Leonard Williams was traded, and not the GM, the GM speak bullshit. Go back to the Leonard Williams fiasco. We didn't have any quarterbacks. Daniel Jones was hurt. We didn't have a quarterback. We didn't have any quarterbacks. We didn't have any money to sign a quarterback. Our cap space was negative. That was the same year. At one point in time, we couldn't even dress 53 men. We didn't have any money. They traded Leonard Williams for cap space, basically. It's almost like an NBA trade when you're trading and adding these contracts in so everything adds up so you get cap space. That's why we traded Leonard Williams. And I love it because they were like, well, if Leonard didn't want to go to Seattle, we weren't going to trade him. No, that was bullshit. You didn't have any money. You couldn't field a 53-man roster, and you couldn't sign a quarterback. People forget these things. I'm like an elephant. I don't forget this shit. James says the Packers, the Lions, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bucks all drafted well the last 5 years, and look where they are now. Hey, what's up, Honey Pot? T-Money. Evan says, yeah. Flott sucks. Newman and Phillips are good in the box, but are bad in coverage. Yeah. I've already said this before. I like Tyler Newman as a player. I'm the Giants. I put him in the Peppers quasi Logan Ryan mode, where I play those years. Peppers and Logan Ryan played 100% of the snaps, and like 68 to 70% of those snaps were played in the box. They were basically hybrid linebacker / safety, strong safeties that played up on the line. That's what I would do with Tyler Newman. Phillips, like I said, Jaden Daniels completed three of four passes for over 30 yards, for over 10 yards completion against Tyler Newman. And he gave up 75% completion percentage again, which he gave up the entire year last year. Yeah, great that he had 4 tackles and 3 solo, but your job as a professional defensive back is not to allow the person to catch the ball. This is why I said, if I'm Jaguars, I'm playing Travis Hunter as a defensive back. He's going to get bowled over. He's going to get bullied. He is not going to be able to make it. He went to the Deion Sanders School of Tackling, but he can cover. And Deion Sanders was not known, even when Deion Sanders was converted to safety in Baltimore, he was not known for his tackling ability. He was known for having people not catch the ball. And that's the whole thing. Your whole job as a defensive back is you don't have to worry about tackling. You don't have to worry about, stopping someone if you literally just tackle him. I know it's a crazy concept. If you stop him from catching the ball, yeah. That's all you got to do. Stop him from catching. Deion Sanders, most tackles he ever had in his NFL career was 66 back in 92. Then he had 34, 36, 26, 33, 33, 25, 42, 41. And that's when basically he was playing safety. But his claim to fame was people would not be able to catch the ball against him, so there's no reason for me to tackle him. That's why I would put Travis Hunter as a defensive back. James Stein, what's up, brother? The Giants need to clean house from the GM and head coach, AOC, and defense coordinator, and start with the head coach, and I'll call John Green with all the experience with a Super Bowl. That's what we need. And he can call me up, and then I'll come and work for the Giants. I was laughing because the teams I worked for in the NFL all had losing records. So maybe I should stay home. Evan says the problem is Chris. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's Chris Mayer and Tim McNaught. We're going to talk about, though, in a few minutes, how the Giants can win on Sunday. I'm not going to give you the full accoutrement of what they can do to win, but I'm going to tell you that there is hope. No, I would not do Frank Reich.
That's what she said.
There's hope for Sunday. And not just because that the second corner is out for Dallas, but there's hope. And we're going to talk about this hope in a minute. And we're going to talk about a intrinsical game plan the Giants could use. I'm not going to tell you yet how the Cowboys can beat the Giants. We're going to save that for Sunday, I mean. But we're going to talk about how the Giants can use the talent that they have to go up against, I would say, a Cowboys team which is flawed but has better talent and different positional groups than the Giants. James Stein says we need to rebuild our front office as well. I agree. All this institutional prejudice against the Smurfs is really messed up. I know. Listen, man. Here's my problem with the Smurfs. You got like 300 Smurfs and one girl. Okay? There's something weird going on here. I think she was doing Strong Smurf, whatever his name was. The muscular Smurf. I think she was Smurfing him. And and I think at one point in time they might have been running the Smurf train on her. I don't know. But the Smurfs to me were always just fucking weird. And then she was created by Gargamel. I don't know, guys. I don't know. That's even more messed up than the Giants. Oh, Frank, what does Mr. Chad says? No, I'm not. I already said I'm not doing Frank Reich.
That's what she said.
Eric, what's up, Eric? James Stein, you think the same? I think that the same. I totally agree. I've been saying that from the end of last year. What about John Michael Montgomery? Who's John Michael Montgomery? Who's that? I don't know who that is. Who is John Michael Montgomery? Isn't he a singer? Isn't he like a country singer or something? We need new blood in here ASAP. I agree. Jay Ferris says 8-10 dead million captains to get Leo to get a higher pick. I know we did. Paulson Adebo got burned on Sunday. Like I said, Paulson Adebo, let's give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. He is a lockdown press cover corner playing in a bend not break, not even a Tampa 2 style defense that he doesn't fit in. Same thing with Banks. So let's just give him a moment before we watch him. I can't lie. You were right on the money. You know your Giants. The team is bad. Thank you, crowd favorite media. I don't revel in being right. I've been right now 3 years, 4 years. We've been doing a show, 4 years? We've been right the majority of the time because we don't look at it from the perspective of a Giant fan. Because if I was the perspective of a Giant fan, I'd be like all the other drones, all the other lemons that are on YouTube, and be like, everything the Giants do is great. Oh my God, everything's fucking awesome. And people are like, well, you're always negative. No, I give you both sides. I tell you the positive and then I tell you the negative. Because you have to have both. There's two sides of a coin. And if you flip a coin, it doesn't come up heads 99.9% of the time. So it's like I still take shit for the Madre Harper. I did a video about how I did a video because people are saying, oh, we stole Madre Harper from the practice squad. And I guarantee you half the people in this chat don't remember who Madre Harper was. We stole him from the Raiders. I think John Green was there at the time. We stole him off the practice squad. Oh, this big corner was going to be something special. And I went back and looked at the film. I went back and looked at the Raider film. I went back and looked at some of his training camp film. I said, this is a straight route corner. He can run straight, but that's about it. Yeah, that didn't work out at all for us because no one even knows now who Madre Harper is besides me. BP says, Leonard Williams, the guy on the ghost on the field, the Jets dumped on the Giants. Good riddance. Yeah, I'm just saying, though, there was a reason why. Hefty Smurf, thank you. There was a reason why he was traded. He wasn't traded because we just didn't have any money. We had zero. We couldn't field a 53-man roster the last 2 weeks because we didn't have enough salary cap. What does James says? What we have now is consistently a shit show. The Giants fans deserve better. That's this plain and simple. That's why I have the Packers. I'm glad I'm a Packer fan as well. And I love people on Twitter. Not Twitter, X, and YouTube. They're like, well, you're not a real Giant fan because you're a Packer fan too. I can multitask. I could be a Giant fan. I could be a Packer fan. I've been a Packer fan just as long as technically I've been a Giant fan because of my father. I could be a Giant fan and a Knick fan and even watch the Mets. I could do all these things at once. I have to go get it out. It was delivered today and it's in the mailbox. I don't feel like going out and getting the mail because it's a long walk down to the curb. But a friend of mine, and maybe I'll post it on Twitter. A friend of mine sent me a replica Eagles Super Bowl ring and it's sitting in the mail. And I know it's there because I see it was delivered today. I just don't feel like going down and getting it. Carlos, what's up? Let's see. This coaching staff is a joke, but I'm not a big fan of the defense to coordinator Shane Bowen's. He's a joke. He's a waste. Carl Banks can defend him all he wants, but there's going to be a point in time where we have to start looking at what's wrong with this defense and look at the person that's orchestrating it. Dan the Man says, scrolling over the cap for potential free agents, the Giants will overpay. Hefty Smurf. All right, Hefty Smurf. Papa Spurs needs to go work out with Hefty Smurf. I don't know, man. I think Papa was tapping that. I think Papa Smurf, I think she was calling him daddy.
That's what she said.
Dan Man says there's a funny scene in Donnie Darko when he rants about the Smurfs that sounds familiar to what you just said. I've never seen Donnie Darko. I actually heard that was pretty good. I've never seen that, though. I never got to watch that. I was talking to James about all these bad movies we were watching the other day. And they always seem to be horror movies. James Williams said, yes, Tim, the dynamics of the Smurf village was quite weird when you look back at it. Wait, Smurfs are blue. Giants wear blue. Not saying anything. Jabari Bruce said, what's up, Mr. Bruce? I find it funny that people keep talking about DJ and how well he's playing, but they don't talk about how much money they paid for him or what he did. Here's the problem. I said this on a post. There's a segment of Giant fans that are still creaming themselves over Daniel Jones in Indianapolis. And it's like, we were right. Look at us. We were right. He's good. Well, he was here for 6 years and he wasn't. You ever heard that the expression change of scenery? But these are also the same people that are blasting Saquon Barkley for going for a team that didn't want him, taking the money with the divisional rival and winning the Super Bowl. But they're blasting him for being a traitor. Daniel Jones quit on this team. I forgot what NFL quarterback said it. Daniel Jones quit. Daniel Jones asked to be released. The Giants even said we weren't releasing him. He was still under contract. He asked to be released. He quit on the Giants. Why is there this level of compassion for Daniel Jones when the man literally took $98 million and quit? I don't get it. Donnie Darko is my top 3 favorite for movies for me. Let's see here. Well, I don't know, man. There's a lot of good top movies. I'm gonna go see Spinal Tap 2. The End Continues tonight, so I'm kind of excited about that because I'm a big Spinal Tap fan. But these go to 11, and I love the fact that the majority of that first movie was just done off the cuff. They scripted parts of it, but a lot of the conversations the actors just kind of made up as they went along, and they just kept them in the movie. Like the scene where these go to 11 when he asked that question. That was actually not scripted. I miss Wink. So do I. Second attack. Abdul Carter is a weak side linebacker. Is a terrible. Oh, it's a terrible idea. It's in the lineage of the list of terrible ideas the Giants have had that you're going to do this. But hey, why not? Jay Ferris says, I think the team needs one of those outside retired GM consultants to give Mara a tough love scenario for a long-term success. Well, Parcells tried to do that in Miami. He tried, and Tom Coughlin tried to do that in Jacksonville. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Madre Harper, yep. One of my favorite combination soundtrack scores in films. What's that? Oh, Donnie Darko. Zagatek says we need the Giants to bring back Giants legend Demontre Moore and Bobby Hart. Eric Williams says, what about John Gruden? As James Stein mentioned, I totally agree with that. He is available. First of all, you have the email scandal with John Gruden and the things that he wrote in the emails. And I'm going to tell you right now from experience, not only from NFL, AFL, the college experience, these are things that are I don't know now, but these are things that were said openly in locker rooms. It's guy talk. We're having guy talk here. This is guy shit. You know, this is shit that was said, and nothing he said in those emails I didn't hear in person in NFL locker rooms. He just got caught, and it turned into a whole scandal. And he didn't really get caught, but he just turned into a whole scandal that way. So yeah, I mean that's why he's being held out of the league. But I think that's kind of dissipated. But I love John Gruden. Everyone knows I love John Gruden. I would bring John Gruden in here, but I just don't see him fitting in the New York landscape. Let's see. Joe, what's up, Mr. Esquire? Next GM and head coach should have experience building a playoff team. No more of on-the-job training signed to pissed off Giant. I'm tired of it, too. I'm tired of, let's bring in a head coach that doesn't have any experience. Let's bring in a general manager that doesn't have any experience. They're going to learn on the job. He has a season ticket already. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done learning on the job. I will give the Giants credit, and I'm very excited about it. And I've been on the field at Giant Stadium ad nauseum, you know, and I never take it for granted that I am able to go on, and not really this field, because this field is just not the field that it used to be. But I never take it for granted that I can get to go on the field. I've been in the locker rooms. I've been up in the front offices. I've been to the Giant offices. I never take any of that for granted, but I've done it a lot. So it's not like, you know, it's not like it was, you know, when I first did it. I've been on the field for the flag ceremony. I've held the flag. I was on the field for the number retirement ceremony. I held one of the flags. So I've done it, and it's great. And it's a great experience. You got to get up you got to get to steam like 7:30 in the fucking morning to do this shit, because you got to go to practice. But I never, you know, I never not enjoy that experience. And I always understand how special I am to be able to do those things, because not everyone, this is going back to 19. There's young Tim, on the field back in 2019. So I never say, and there's older Tim back on the field with Big James, and we've showed it before, and we did the past challenge. We've done all this stuff, but I never take it for granted. I'll say that. But this Packer game, I'm going to get to do an on-field experience with during the Packer game. So I'm torn. I might have to do this. I might have to wear the Giant hat and the Packer jersey. So I'm very excited about. And then what I think we're going to do is, if you're going to be at the game, I believe I have 3 additional tickets for the on-field experience. So we're probably going to give those away. And then I can't remember what game it is also in November. There's another game up in November where I can have 8 people there, and we're going to take a picture with the Super Bowl trophy. So we're going to if you're going to be at the game, I'm going to give away those tickets as well. So you can come with me, and we're going to take pictures with the Super Bowl trophy. And then I can't remember what game that is. I got to look back. But then on the Packer game, I think I'm going to give away the additional tickets so you can come on the field with me after the Giant Packer game. Tyrone Tracy says, not happy with the Giants play call on Sunday. I definitely said we needed to run the ball on the 1-yard line. I feel like everyone felt the same. I don't disagree with Tyrone Tracy, but here's the thing. If your coaching staff does not feel your offensive line is strong enough to get 1 yard, what does that say about you? You look in the mirror before you start blaming everyone else. Dolphins had 0 pressures that game week. They did. The Dolphins, the Dolphins defense coordinator called me up a week before the game, says, "Hey Tim, you want to come out of retirement?" Because I did work for the Dolphins as well one year. Like, you want to come out of retirement? I was like, no, man, I'm good. Thanks, though. Can't take Carl seriously anymore, says Coach D. Carl does say certain things. Like, so we have Carl on. I consider Carl to be a friend of the channel because he's done stuff for the channel. We've had him on before. But again, he says a lot of logical things. He says things on X which make a lot of sense. And he calls people out on X for not understanding the game and making assessments. So I give him credit. I give him all the credit in the world for that. And people need to remember he's the voice of the Giants, along with Bob Papa. He can't be me, because then why would the Giants have him? But he's critical at times of the team, so you got to give him credit for playing both, for doing that. James Stein said the Giants really need to win on Sunday, or they lose every game in September, possibly all October too. That happens. You see Brian Daboll being fired along defensive coordinators. Here's the thing: I still say this: if it's bad, it's really bad, he will get fired after the second Philadelphia Eagle game, and I think they'll do something stupid like promote Mike Kafka, which makes 0 fucking sense because he is the worst offensive coordinator that I've ever fucking seen in my life, outside of Brian Daboll. And then he will be gone, and then Shane will be gone at the end of the year. People calling for Jaxson Dart are insane. Well, here's the thing about Jaxson Dart. We're going to get into it in a minute here. I'm going to get into how the Giants can win this game. I've been thinking about it. I've been studying film. I've been looking at the Cowboys. I'm going to be on a Cowboys show on Saturday, and I don't remember the name of the show, so don't ask me. I'll tell you where it is, but it's a pretty good Cowboy show, but I don't know the name of the show. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. But I'm going to be on it Saturday. It's so it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to beat how we can beat it. But calling for Jaxson Dart, here's the thing. I want to see Jaxson Dart just as much as anyone else does. You traded up to take this kid at 25. I want to see him just as much. But I'm not going to sit there and rush the kid's career because I want to play. And I think I have to give, if it continues to happen, I don't know, because Brian Daboll is going to be on the hot seat if he loses this week. I have to give the Giants some kudos for not rushing him in if they don't play, if he doesn't play this Sunday a little bit, because there's no rush for this kid. There's no reason and rationale to throw him out there right now. You have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. If anything, let the kid sit and watch. If you want to put in a package or two for him in Dallas, I don't agree with that, because, like I said, Russell Wilson is a rhythm passer. Rhythm is the dancer. I don't agree with that. But if you want to try to shock the defense so well because you don't think you can matriculate the ball downfield, then okay, then we're good. But yeah, I don't see it either. Kenny Special Giants steals. Kenny G, Nate Solder, Darren Waller, Singletary. What a joke! Don't forget Jonathan Stewart. Coach T says Daboll changed the game plan in the tunnel. I don't think he has a game plan. Christopher Guest, an improv genius. Oh, I'm excited to go see the Spinal Tap movie. I got the tickets on Fandango, and I love it because you pick your seats in the theater, and I guess it's not like a big movie because like every seat was available. And this one theater that we go to has a bar. I saw Jaws there. They have a bar. Okay, it's like Europe. Europe has bars everywhere, even in McDonald's, even in the movie theaters. They have a bar. And I know this is in a lot of theaters now, but there's a bar and an IHOP right next door. So I can watch Spinal Tap, the end continues, get fucked up, then go get pancakes. What am I, 23? This is awesome. This is great. This is going to be a great night. Coach D says, DJ manned up and stepped up. Daboll needs to do the same. I don't know if DJ stepped up and manned up, let alone that the Dolphins stepped down. Let's see DJ against some competition. He stepped up at games here against poor competition. So, we have to wait and see. I have no fault against Daniel Jones. He was here for 6 years and did nothing. It was time to move on. We gave him $98 million. We gave him $98 million, counting his rookie contract. You gave him $98 million, almost $100 million for one playoff win. And losing a bunch of games. Listen, give me $4 million, I'll lose just as many games as Daniel Jones. Jay Ferris says Daniel Jones didn't quit. They weren't playing him due to guaranteed injury guarantees. It was best for both. No, he quit. He asked to be released. He quit. It didn't. Listen, you are getting paid by the organization. You are under contract from the organization. People are like, well, he was playing third string scout team safety. That's why he quit. He was being. Listen, there are so many people on an active roster. And I try to explain to people, he wasn't playing safety. He was standing in the position of a safety. That's all he was doing. He wasn't playing safety. He quit on the Giants. It didn't matter because of the injury guarantees. They were still going to have him on the roster and pay him. And I forget, Jay. I forget. Where did he go and get all those snaps? Oh, yeah, he rode the coattails in Minnesota. That's right. He quit, Jay. He quit. I don't care what Tom Brady said. No, Tom Brady's only the GOAT. Why do I care what the best quarterback in NFL history says? Fuck that guy. What has he done? His wife divorced him. What, has he only got 5 rings, 6 rings? Considered the greatest quarterback ever to live and play in the NFL? He's been in the league for 20 years. Yeah, I don't care what that fucking bum says. Oh, Jay, sometimes you're my brother. Let's see. Mara, open your wallet for John Lynch as GM. I remember when John Lynch was hired, and everyone said, oh, that's going to be a terrible pick. And John Lynch turned to be really good. Jay Snow says they need to bring people with experience. We can't keep wasting draft picks. We're in a never-ending rebuild. Yep, I agree, Jay Ferris. John Lynch is fantastic. Jay Snow says, Informa. Let's see. Haven't been able to fix this O-line for years. We can't fax them either. It would be better if we could fax them. We were good. Giants O-line was good when they had fax machines. 86, 88. Some people want Brandon Brown for the next GM. I don't want anyone from this regime. Well, they want Brandon because he's a Howie guy. He's a Philly Howie guy. Do I want Brandon? No, probably not. Probably don't. Brandon probably got 28 likes and 78 people watching. 28 likes. That's fucking disgusting. Do you want Mrs. Online Big Blue to pull the plug here and say I can't do streams anymore? Because she will. She already said she would. And I'm scared of her. So make sure you get the links. Get the likes up. A lot of people have met her. Very short, petite woman. She'll fuck you up. Like I said, Lowback Sanders ain't going to be the GM. His hands got blood on them. That's a good way to put it too. His hands do got. Mike Kafka is trash. I agree. BP Jones quit on his team. Fans got to take off the rose. You quit. You were getting paid. And you asked for. They weren't going to release you, and you asked for your release. That's called quitting. Technically, the Giants quit on DJ, not quit on. No, Giants didn't. You suck at your job, Jay Ferris. You suck at your job. You're terrible at it. The organization who's tolerated all your mistakes for 6 years finally says, we're done with you, but we're going to pay out. We are going to pay you out for the rest of the year. And then you say, nah, I quit. Because you know part of the money is guaranteed. That's what you're also not remembering. He quit and he still got paid by the Giants. If we change the address to the game and we don't tell him when Dallas will win. BB says Giants look bad again. 3-5 wins this season. John Gruden and John Lynch would be a good pair. They could fix this team going forward. Well, first of all, you're not going to get John Lynch. Second of all, you're going to have to deal with the baggage of Gruden, and you're going to have to deal with Gruden. Like I said, I only remember Gruden from the early years, the year after the Tampa Super Bowl year. So I don't know if John is mellowed, but I'm going to tell you right now, John Gruden and the Giant media, and you got to remember, John Gruden is only 62 years old. You got to remember that. So he is what you call it. He's only 62. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, unless he's mellowed. But I could see John Gruden. I could see John Gruden getting a job sometime this season on a team that's terrible, on a team that may be looking for an in-season change. On a team, I actually heard rumors that there has been talk that he would, depending on how it goes with the Florida Gators, that he may go over to Gainesville. There's been rumors and speculations about that. Giants will pull an upset on Sunday. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about how the Giants can win this game. I'm going to give people said to me last week, you gave us the keys to what Washington was going to do to win the game yesterday, and everything you said they were going to do on that Sunday, they did, and they won. And they said, well, give us the keys what the Giants were going to do. And I did that, but no one ever listened. But today, like I said, I'm going to divide it up a little bit. I'm going to give you, in a couple minutes, I'm going to give you the keys to the Giants beating the Cowboys. Because I still think the Cowboys are not going to be as bad this year as people think, even with a lack of a true running game. So I think the Cowboys are going to step up a little. I've already said this before. I think Washington, Philadelphia is going to come down a little. I think Giants are going to stay the same. I think the Cowboys are going to step up a little. We're going to get that in a minute. Jay Ferris says, I don't think that could happen. Those two guys in a war room. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen either. Just hire Disciple from the Eagles as the next GM. No, I want a real GM. If you want to hire someone from Philly, go kidnap Howie. Say to Howie, listen. Do like a Theo Epstein. Say to Howie, listen. I am going to give you $8 billion. Come over here and please save the Giants. Just hard. Like I said, let's see here. Prime. Let's see. Prime Michael Vick couldn't survive behind this offensive line. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. What's up with Key Smart says? What do we got? A super chat here from the Mr. Smart. What's up, Mr. Smart? No comment. No question. Nothing exciting. Come on, brother. Give me something. Give me a question. Thank you for the super chat. All super chats go to the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Let's see here. Giants pulling up says, let's see here. 2 in the war room. We got that. Jason Garrett, missed me yet? I said that before. Jason Garrett, even though he was fundamentally flawed, actually put together game plans that the Giants didn't execute with almost the same style staff. Let's see. The Giants always seemed unprepared and out-coached. This is what I don't get. People are like, I love this thought process. I saw this on X. People are like, well, the Giants are going to be more prepared for the Cowboys now because they've had time to prepare. You had an entire offseason, minute camps, rookie camps, mandatory minute camps, training camps to prepare for the Washington Commanders in week 1. And we still came out flat. Come out flat now 3 years in a row. We should have lost that game by 35. Jaden Daniels doesn't miss some wide open guys, and there wasn't some drops and a couple bad penalties. That game's 35-6. You came out flat again. I don't get it. Until John Mara stops calling the shots, the team is going to be garbage. Yep, I agree. Jay Snow says, Informa, Dallas is going to just run right up the middle, eating up our defense and kill us with the play action. Okay. Do you want, let's see. Mr. Smart says, been watching you for a while, and Pat makes the most sense. Was shocked to see that Big Blue hope dealers tricked you into believing they were going to win. Don't let them trick you this weekend, believing. Mr. Smart, I don't know if you missed it early on. I got called out on that the other day because on X and on a couple of the streams, I said the Giants are probably going to get blown out by the Commanders. What happened was I put one of these on and I actually had the Giants losing 28-17 initially, and it had nothing to do with anything else. It's just, I'm a fan and I'm a season ticket holder. And I went stupid for a minute because I was told on the Sunday stream that all I was negative against the Giants and everything that the Commanders were going to do to win. So that's what happens sometimes when you are a fan. Jay says, Tim, what do you think is internally wrong with the Giant organization? I love it. They just sold 10% of the team for $10 billion. If you go back to the Andy Robustelli years, we've talked about this. You go back to the bad times. You go back to trading the first overall pick for Craig Morton, which sucked for the Giants. And then the next year he went to Denver and took him to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys. And the pick that you gave up would turn out to be your Hall of Famer, Randy White, that you had the wrong coaching staff. You had the wrong ability. You had Joe Pisarcik. You had the miracle of the Meadowlands. It was after the miracle of the Meadowlands that Mara said, Wellington says, I'm stepping back. This is fundamentally broken. This is fundamentally flawed. What I'm doing as an owner, he kind of had the George Halas moment where George Halas for years was the patriarch and the person running the Bears. But then he kind of figured out I can't do this anymore because I'm not smart enough. There's a lot smarter people than I. So after the miracle of the Meadowlands, he decided, conscious effort, to take a step back, hire a football guy in George Young. The league did not make him hire George Young. I hate that story that people get it wrong all the time. He asked Pete Rozelle, Wellington did, what young GM what one guy, young personnel guy, young guy, assistant GM should they hire him? They landed on George Young, and he stepped away from the football operations completely. He became devoid of everything that the Giants did. And it took some time, and it took some drafts, like the 79 draft.
New York Giants select quarterback Phil Simms, Morehead State.
It took getting the right coach initially in Ray Perkins, who then went to Alabama. Then you landed on Bill Parcells. It took the rights to getting the likes of Lawrence Taylor. It took the rights of drafting a Carl Banks. It took the rights to understand how to from it. Until Mara and his minions that have been running this team since into the ground since 2011 figure that. Even Leon Rose the Knicks turned over to Leon Rose. They just took everything and said, here, run with this. They did it with Pat Riley. It didn't work at first, but they stepped away. The brain trust of the Knicks stepped away and gave it to football people. That's what you need to do. You need to get a conscious football mind that's been in this league for a while, that understands not only the nuances of running a team, but the salary cap and an entire team dynamic. Find a head coach that acts more as a CEO than a guy that has his hands in the offense. The guy's got his hands in the defense. The guy's got and dictates and controls everything from the top down, but allows his coaches to coach and do the thing. The Brian Daboll thing, when he went after Wink on the sidelines during one of those games to tell him to stop blitzing, was the ultimate disrespect, because you have a guy that's an offensive guru who got fired in every other stop he had until he ended up in Buffalo with Josh Allen. He got fired by his mentor as an offensive coordinator in the league. He had no success in the NFL outside of Josh Allen. And people talk about success in college. Well, that doesn't do anything for me in the NFL, because you're not taking those people with you. So until the Giants figure out and get a football mind in there that not only understands personnel and salary cap, but understands you need to build this organization from the top down and start with someone that's going to come in here and be in charge of everything. Turn the keys to the kingdom over to a football mind. Find a guy out there. Maybe he's on a team currently. Maybe he is an old soul. Maybe he's something that comes in here and says, okay, listen, X, I'm going to do a Phil Jackson. With the Phil Jackson thing didn't work out. The Leon Rose thing is working out. The Phil Jackson shit didn't work out when they turned over the keys of the kingdom there. But turn over the keys to the kingdom and say, listen, run this organization. Run this organization, this football side of the organization from the top down. Get a football-minded head coach who is not going to meddle into everything, but be the CEO of the team. Let his offensive and defense coordinator work what they are, have trust in what they're going to do, but oversee it, make corrections when needed, work directly with the general manager to put a roster together that is not a collection of talent. And we've said this before, the Giants are a cut and paste team. They're not a collection of talent, but they are a collection of talent that are cohesive and can work together in an organized system. That's what the Giants need to do, and that's what's internally wrong with the Giants. Wow, I really didn't want to get into that. Watch CeeDee Lamb get 2 touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb's going to tear the secondary apart. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are going to tear the secondary apart. There's no doubt in my mind. Here's the thing. Here's how the Giants can stand up to the Cowboys. Right now, you got Bland, who's probably going to be out. I think their other safety, Thomas, he was out with, they're not saying where he was out last week, but Malik Hooker has a foot injury and he was limited practice as well. So their secondary, it could potentially be a little bit depleted. So if you lose both Bland and Hooker against that secondary, you could potentially, because you got, what's his name? You got, you still have Liam, I can't remember his name. Tay Diggs still coming back. Donovan Smith is still a pretty good player. I love Kenneth Murray Jr. I love him as a linebacker. You still got Fowlers out there. You got Kenny Clark, to me, is still a professional defensive lineman. But you take a look at this secondary, you take a look at the linebacking core, you take a look at the way the Giants can exploit this. And this is what we need to look at. We need to look at areas that the Giants can use what they feel is beneficial to this team to move them forward. Now, the problem is that here's the biggest problem that we have. Dak Prescott, to me, looked really good. Dak Prescott, to me, looked like the Dak Prescott of old. Dak Prescott looked like a guy who had some mobility. He was 21 for 34 for, I think, we're only 188. I don't remember exactly, but he still has a guy that has some mobility. You also have a team that is limited in their running game, but they still went out there and rushed for over 100 yards between the likes of Williams, Sanders, Turbin, and Prescott. So they are going to probably try to matriculate the ball down the field, Dallas is, by running the ball. And then setting up, I've seen it before, and setting up chat with the play action. Here's the thing. You need, as a Giant defense, let's start with the Giant defense first. You need to have a conscious effort to understand that this offensive line of the Cowboys is not the offensive line that they had 4 years ago. But this offensive line is not a garbage offensive line. This is still a big offensive line. between Guyton, Smith, and what's his name? BB over center, and Booker, and I think Steele is the other. These aren't small guys. This is still a quality offensive line who can protect Dak Prescott. What you need to do is you need to have the understanding that you got to kind of hold back on the pass rush. And I'm going to tell you why at first, because I think what's going to happen is after seeing the Commanders run for 220 yards, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to try to run, set up the play action with CeeDee Lamb, and then in the second half go bombs away. You need to sit there and figure out a way against what I would not refer to as quality running backs and stifle the run. Shut down the run, and hopefully you can do this with your front four, which is supposed to be your strength. I don't see it that way, but they are supposed to be your strength. Shut down the limited running game they have. Force Dak Prescott to throw. And then once you are forcing Dak Prescott to throw.
What's your assignment?
Kill the quarterback. Hit the tight end so hard his girlfriend dies. Kill everybody.
Then you unleash the hounds. Then you can bring in your Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Abdul Carter and have them go directly after the quarterback. Make them control the speed rush. But here's the problem with the speed rush. You need to play within containment. You cannot overcommit. Daniel Jones's biggest runs, which were against the Eagles and the Commanders, were plays that they weren't plays that Daniel Jones just moved out of the pocket. They were designed plays on third downs because Jason Garrett at that point in time understood and knew that the Eagles and the Commanders were going to overcommit on the rush, which then is going to leave these huge lanes in the middle of the field. If you overcommit and don't control your edge, that's what's going to happen. But if you can stifle the run, force them into a passing game, you supposedly have corners in a Debo and Banks, get off this soft shell zone shit. You have an opportunity to stifle the Cowboys defense. And we've always had issues with the Cowboys passing game. We've always had issues. I go back to that opening day, but you can control the line of scrimmage. Make sure that they are not getting into 3rd and 3s because of the run game, which is going to open up both the play action, the run game, and the pass, and control the ability of the line of scrimmage. Then, like I said, Carl Banks said it best, and it's always stuck with me. Earn the right to rush the passer. And what he meant by that was, and he explained it to it, and we had a short about it as well. He's saying you have to earn the right to rush the passer. How? By controlling and stopping the run, which allows you the right to rush the passer. And that's how easily you can go against it. And we're going to get into a little bit more in depth, but that's how you can do this. Let's see. We're going to get the last couple questions here. Johnny says nepotism is rampant in the New York Giants. I don't disagree with that. I could see if we whiffed on one of the top 10 picks, but how do you whiff on 2 of them in the same draft? Well, you know what? The people say I'm geez, but how can you screw up 5 and 7? Tim still has one of the best takes, calling Joe Crustable eating Fadas. I forgot all about that. Tim is still has the best one take, calling Joe a crustable eating bedazzled wife marrying an idiot as a GM whose son has a better take on the draft than him. Joe not only is exactly, but basically, I forgot all about that. I forgot about the crustable eating motherfucker. I forgot about that. Tim can't catch the secondary besides Malik. The cupboard is depleted. Yeah, but their secondary is depleted as well. Michael Gallup. Oh, Michael Gallup. I remember Michael Gallup in that opener. Oh, dear Lord. Dart can't take a snap from GMS. Thomas's ankles and infection is concerning, so Dart can't play unless Dart is back. Dart's not going to be. Thomas isn't playing. We're going to talk about Jaxson Dart. Well, the Giants are a family-owned business since 1924. They are a family-owned business, 100%. But like I said, Wellington stepped back. Wellington said, I've had enough of this. He watched the Giants lose on the Miracle of the Meadowlands, and when it should have, that whole Zonka play to Pisarcik, and he's just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Evidently, I suck.
That's what she said.
And then he turned over the reins to the likes of George Young. And George Young is not a family person. He was not part of the family. George Young was just a very astute football mind that came into this organization and revamped the entire organization. That's what he needs to do now. That's what he needs to do now. All right, everyone. It is 12:30. The kids are going to be out home from school in about an hour and a half, so I have to go take care of some things around the house. Big stream on Sunday. Make sure you hit the like button here. We only got 38 likes. We should have like 45, but that's all right. Oh, I'll be all right. Oh, we have 43. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do need that. You're right. We need a former head coach at all major spots. Yeah, we do need that. You're right. You're 100% right. Coach D, you're 100% right. Big stream on Sunday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll do our I'm going to be on some Cowboys podcast show on Saturday. I don't remember the name of it. Not much of a PR there, but I'll figure out the name of it and let everybody know. I don't know what I'm going to wear. I have to wait and see. So, you know what, guys? It's been fun today. This was kind of a last-minute idea, so I appreciate all the 100 and something people that are still hanging in and tuning out. Don't forget to catch us all up on the Believe Network. We're going to have some great content coming for the rest of the season. We'll start doing some, not daily videos, we'll try doing some videos every other day. I appreciate everyone for hanging in and hanging out as long as they did. And as always, see you on, let's see, what Mr. Lopez says, shake my head, how this changed, how this changed, simply fire the GM and head coach. I don't disagree. Have a great day, and you better be there on Sunday. And as always, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. See everyone on Sunday. I'm out of here.